Good evening. Welcome to Just the News. I'm Faye D'Souza. We have updates from Afghanistan and also what's going on in India, but we'll get to Afghanistan first. India today has cancelled visas issued to Afghan nationals who are not in the country and asked them to reapply for e-visas. A statement made by the Home Ministry has said, owing to the prevailing security situation in Afghanistan, streamlining the visa process by the introduction of the emergency visas, is decided that all Afghan nationals henceforth must travel on e-visas. So basically it says that if it is also keeping in mind that there are certain Afghan nationals who have misplaced their passports, so previously issued visas to all Afghan nationals who are not already in India have been cancelled, and they will have to reapply on the Indian government portal in order to come into the country. In the meantime, China has established its first diplomatic contact with the Taliban in Kabul after the militant group took control of Afghanistan. According to the Associated Press, China has said that it has established an open and effective communication and consultation with the Afghan Taliban, end quote. US President Joe Biden yesterday said the G7 leaders, European Union, NATO and the UN stand united in their approach to the Taliban. He said, "We will judge them by their actions. We'll stay in close coordination on any steps that we take moving forward in response to Taliban behavior." The global leaders have collectively decided to support refugees and evacuees currently fleeing Afghanistan. But we must note that there is a really small number of people who are actually managing to exit the country at all. Biden also reaffirmed his commitment to complete the US evacuation before the 31st of August, the deadline previously laid out. India's Chief of Defence Staff, General Bipin Rawat, today said that India had anticipated that the Taliban would take over Afghanistan. It was the timeline that actually surprised us. Speaking at an event at the Observer Research Foundation, he said, and I quote, "Everything that has happened is something that had been anticipated. Only the timelines have changed. From the Indian perspective, we were anticipating the Taliban would take over Afghanistan." He also said the timeline surprised us because we were anticipating that this will happen in a couple of months down the line. Pretty much the same Taliban that was there 20 years ago. In a worrying case to come out of IIT Guwahati, the Guwahati High Court has granted bail to the main accused of a rape case, saying the young person is one of the state's future assets. Now, the accused is a 21-year-old BTech student who allegedly forced a 19-year-old student from the same college to drink alcohol and then raped her. The court said, and I'm quoting here, "Investigation in this case is complete, and both the informant, the victim girl, and the accused are the state's future assets, being talented students pursuing technical courses at IIT Guwahati, who are in the young age group of 19 to 21 only. They are being hailed from two different states, and the continuation of detention of the accused in interest of the trial of the cases may not be necessary." The court granted the accused bail on a bond of 30,000 rupees and the condition that he will not leave the district without informing the judicial magistrate. Now, there is no, there is no condition or there's no option within the rape laws in India to allow someone bail on the argument that the individual is bright and has a bright future ahead of them. So far, there is no provision in our rape law yet. But also, this is not the first case to come out of IIT Guwahati. In February 2017, according to a report by the New Indian Express, 2 IIT Guwahati students were arrested by the police for allegedly raping 3 other students in the same university by spiking their drinks. In December 2014, according to a report by NDTV, a professor of the Indian Institute of Guwahati was arrested for allegedly raping an employee. The woman accused him of sexually exploiting her for over a month. A 24-year-old woman from eastern Uttar Pradesh who accused a BSP parliamentarian, Atul Rai, of rape in 2019 has died in a Delhi hospital after she and a male friend set themselves on fire in front of the gates of the Supreme Court of India, demanding justice. She alleged that the police in Varanasi, where she filed the case, were colluding with the jailed member of parliament and his relatives, and the woman's friend had died of burn injuries on Saturday. PTI reported that the woman suffered 85% burns and the man who was with her suffered 65% burns. And on to some political updates right now. The Congress party on Wednesday reiterated that it will continue to contest the 2022 Punjab elections with Captain Amrinder Singh as its chief ministerial candidate. Now, this comes in fresh turmoil in the state when a section of the Punjab Congress leaders expressed their resentment to the party high command over the leadership of Amrinder Singh. They demanded his removal as chief minister, saying his working style is harming the party. Union Cabinet Minister Narayan Rane, who was arrested yesterday, has been granted bail by the Mahad magistrate just minutes before midnight. The court granted Rane bail on a 15,000 rupee bond and imposed a condition that he appear at the police station on the 30th of August and the 13th of September. The judicial magistrate in his order said that custodial interrogation was not necessary. Remember, Rane was arrested yesterday after because he had made a statement against Maharashtra Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray. Speaking to press after he was released, he said, and I quote, "We won't let Maharashtra become West Bengal. The Thackeray government is a guest of only a few days." COVID updates now. Kerala showing some worrying numbers. Kerala has reported 31,445 new cases and 215 deaths in the last 24 hours. The positivity rate in the state is 19.03%, so that's nearly 20%. Now, medical experts had predicted that the Onam festivities would cause a spike in that positivity rate. It would go beyond 20% and the number of infections would rise. Altogether, though, India reported 37,593 cases. So 37,000 cases from all across the country, of which 31,000 cases came from Kerala alone. The Union Health Minister, Mansukh Mandavia, has announced that India has crossed the 60 crore vaccine doses mark. That's 60 crore shots altogether. 13.2 crore people in India are fully vaccinated. That's 9.6% of the total population. Still not nearly enough. The Drug Controller General of India has given its approval for phase 2 and 3 trials of India's first mRNA-based COVID vaccination developed by Genova Biopharmaceuticals. The subject expert committee review of the interim phase 1 data found the vaccine to be safe, tolerable and immunogenic, with 82 people who participated in that study. This is interesting. In an interview with The Wire, WHO Chief Scientist Dr. Soumya Swaminathan has said India may be entering the endemic stage of COVID. Now, the endemic stage is when a population coexists with the virus to some extent. So, for example, chickenpox or malaria, you have a certain predictable number of cases every year, and we've learned to manage those cases and we've learned to live with it. Dr. Swaminathan said, and I quote, "We may be entering some kind of stage of endemicity where there is low level of transmission, moderate level of transmission going on. We're not seeing the kind of exponential growth and peaks that we saw a few months ago," end quote. The Union Health Minister has said state governments have been asked to vaccinate all school teachers on priority before Teachers' Day on the 5th of September. That's not very far away though. He added that over 2 crore additional COVID vaccine doses are being made available for this purpose. Gujarat has announced a relaxation of its night curfew in 8 of its major cities on the 30th of August and then again in September between the 9th and the 19th. This is in order to accommodate Janmashtami and Ganesh Chaturthi festivals. Maximum of 200 people will be allowed inside temples during the celebrations as long as COVID protocols are being followed. An update from the world of business right now. Now, you'll remember yesterday we brought you news that Rahul Gandhi criticized the national monetization pipeline of the government. The Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman has now responded. This is what she said, and I quote, "Does Rahul Gandhi understand what monetization is? It was the Congress that sold the country's resources and made kickbacks in it," end quote. She also said if he indeed is against monetization, then why was the request for proposal on monetization of the New Delhi railway station torn to pieces by Rahul Gandhi? Is it owned by his Jijaji now? Does he understand what monetization is? Now, yesterday, in fact, the finance minister, day before yesterday, I beg your pardon, on Monday, unveiled the 4-year national monetization pipeline that would hopefully generate for the government 6 lakh crore rupees in revenue by basically leasing out infrastructure projects that have been constructed and that are owned by the government. The opposition has, of course, questioned this entire move, saying the government is selling the assets that have been built over the last 70 years, questioned the possibility that it's selling to its close friends. What we're doing on our YouTube channel is we have a discussion where we've brought in experts who will explain to us how this will work and what the risks are, and if the government is right in this case, or is the opposition right. Do take a look at that video. News coming in right now from across the world. Papua New Guinea has banned flights from India indefinitely after it accused India's diplomats of deception over breaches to COVID travel rules. The Southwest Pacific countries' officials have said that in an act of deliberate deception, India's High Commission helped dozens of unauthorized travelers, some COVID positive, to arrive in their country. According to Reuters, Brazil will start giving booster doses of COVID vaccines to its immunosuppressed and vulnerable population and citizens above the age of 80 starting the 15th of September. The health minister has said the decision stems from the spread of the Delta variant and the need to increase protection to more vulnerable people. An update from the world of sports very quickly. 23-time Grand Slam champion Serena Williams has withdrawn from the US Open due to an injury. She took to Instagram to announce this. She said, and I quote, "After careful consideration, following the advice of my doctors and medical team, I've decided to withdraw from the US Open to allow my body to heal completely from a torn hamstring." Tennis champions Roger Federer, Rafael Nadal have also withdrawn from the US Open due to injury. And a piece of positive news, like we always give you before we end the day. 10-year-old Thejaswi Abhilash from Thrissur has entered the India Book of Records and the Asia Book of Records for being the youngest in the country and in Asia to create a digital doodle art on an iPad in 59 seconds. Apparently, she learned that from her uncle, who's a student at the National Institute of Fashion Technology, and she practiced for a very long time until she managed to bag the record. That brings us to the end of the news. Thank you so much for listening. If you're on YouTube, do leave us a comment. It bumps it up in the algorithm. Subscribe and tell your friends and family that we're doing this service in giving you the news every day so they can watch as well. Good night.